So there's this one question that seems super friendly and casual, and I've watched hundreds of candidates completely tank their interview because of it. And the worst part, they have no idea they just lost the job. Like, they walk out feeling great, and I'm sitting there like, yeah, that's a no. I've been recruiting for the past 5 years, and I've sat through literally thousands of interviews. And this one casual question tells me almost everything I need to know about whether you're going to be amazing to work with or a complete nightmare. It usually comes up when the vibe feels relaxed. Maybe we've already covered your experience, we're joking a bit, I lean back and say, so, what do you like to do outside of work? Or, what do you do for fun? Or maybe, how do you spend your free time? Most people think, oh, this is just small talk. It's not. This is where people say the one thing that kills them. I remember one candidate who was perfect on paper. Dream resume, great companies, and she nailed every technical question. I was honestly excited about her. We'd gone through all the serious stuff. Things felt comfortable, so I smiled and asked, so what do you like to do when you're not working? She relaxes and goes, half laughing, honestly, I mostly just recover from work. My job is kind of toxic right now. The hours are brutal, so on weekends I just kind of binge Netflix, go out, drink with my friends, and try not to think about it. Then she starts telling me about how burned out she is, how checked out she feels, how she's mentally quit already, for like 3 minutes. She thought she was being relatable. In her head, she was just venting about how bad her current job is. What I'm actually hearing is, I'm exhausted and running on empty. I don't have a lot of healthy ways to recharge. If things get hard here, I'm going to emotionally tap out and complain. I knew right then she wasn't getting the job. When you treat that question like a therapy session or a chance to dump on your life, you're not being real. You're showing me your judgment when your guard is down. But this doesn't mean you should fake some robot answer like, I just read business books and think about work 24/7. That's not believable either. So what do you actually do? Well, first we need to figure out, why on earth does this one tiny small talk question have so much power that it can literally send you into the next round or, well, home? The reason this question has so much power is because this is the moment where you stop performing and start being yourself. And that's exactly what the recruiters are trying to see. Last month, I had 2 final candidates for a senior role. Candidate A had slightly better experience. Candidate B was a bit less experienced, but stronger in soft skills. I asked them both, what do you like to do outside of work? Candidate A laughed and said, honestly, work is my whole life. I don't really have time for anything else. I'm basically always on. My friends make fun of me for always being on my laptop. He thought he was signaling dedication. To me, it was no boundaries, likely to burn out, probably expects everyone else to live like that too. Candidate B said, I'm really into hiking and cooking. Getting outside on weekends helps me reset, and I love hosting dinners for friends. I found that having a life outside of work actually makes me better at my job. I come in on Monday with energy instead of being drained. Guess who got the job? Candidate B. Because here's what we're really testing. Do you have basic self-awareness? Do you have healthy boundaries? Are you a person who knows how to manage your energy, not just grind until you collapse? Are you someone people will actually enjoy being around? Newsflash, I'm not hiring a robot, I'm hiring a human being. I'm going to see on a screen or in an office, possibly every day. If your answer screams burned out, chaotic, or I cope in ways that might bleed into work, that's a huge red flag. But being honest doesn't mean oversharing. Being professional means being strategic with what you share. Here's the actual psychology behind why we even ask this. I was training a junior recruiter and she asked, why do we ask people what they do for fun? It's not about the job. I told her, that's exactly why we ask it. We already know about your skills from your resume. What we don't know is, what are you like as a person when you're not on script? I once had a candidate who had clearly been through a rough year. New baby, demanding job, you could tell he was tired, but solid. I asked what he did outside of work, and he said, "Honestly, this past year has been about family. I've got a toddler at home, so a lot of my free time is playgrounds and bedtime stories. I still try to fit in a run a couple of times a week because it keeps me sane. It's made me a lot more intentional about how I use my time, which is also why I'm looking for a role that's sustainable long term." That answer told me he has priorities. He manages his time. He's not going to pretend he works 24/7, but he does take responsibility for his life and choices. He ties his personal reality back to what he wants professionally. That's gold. Now compare that to someone who answers, "Oh God, I just need to escape. My job is awful. I drink, I game till 3 a.m. I'm just trying to survive." What I hear is, "I'm barely holding it together. I cope in ways that probably don't set me up to perform well. Stress turns into avoidance, not intentional change." But you also can't be so polished that it sounds fake. If I ask what you do outside of work and you're like, "Oh, I just work. That's all I do. I'm 100% focused on my career," I don't think, "Wow, what dedication." I think, this person has no life, no balance, and no self-awareness. There's a balance. So, how do you answer this small talk question honestly without tanking your chances? Best answer I've ever heard was from a woman interviewing for a marketing role. I asked, "What do you do for fun outside of work?" She said, "I'm really into photography and yoga. Photography keeps me creative. I love finding new angles or ways to tell a story visually, which actually overlaps with why I enjoy marketing. And yoga is my way of resetting after a busy week. It helps me stay focused and not bring stress into Monday." In 20 seconds, she gave real, specific hobbies, showed she has healthy ways to recharge, made a subtle connection between her hobbies and the skills she uses at work, signaled that she manages her stress and energy. That's an A+ answer. Here's a simple formula you can use. Mention 1 to 3 genuine, non-controversial things: sports, reading, family, volunteering, creative hobbies, fitness, and so on. Show you have a life and ways to recharge. Optionally, connect one hobby lightly back to traits that matter in your role: discipline, creativity, teamwork, patience. Don't turn it into a rant about your current job or your burnout. Don't overshare about heavy partying, risky behavior, or anything illegal/controversial. Absolutely do not brag about side hustles that clearly sound like you're trying to quit full-time work. Never ever say you have no life or that you're always working. And the biggest mistake? People think they have to fill the silence. You don't. If you can answer this in 30 to 45 seconds with calm energy and then stop talking, that's perfect. Answer it, smile, and let the interviewer move on. Most interview advice focuses on specific right answers, but after 5 years of doing this, I can tell you, how you talk when your guard is down matters more. So the questions that sound like small talk are never just a friendly chit-chat. It's about you.